Good evening and welcome to the Special Finance and Personnel Committee meeting. Today's date is April 13th of 2021. Notice of this meeting has been duly posted at City Hall. And we will start with the call to order and roll call. Myself, Dan Stevens, am present. Diane Wolf? Present. Jim Olson is not present. We have with us also the mayor, Chief Ashbeck, City Administrator, the City Attorney, Alders Burmaster and Smith. We have a representative from for the city and for the police union, or the WPPA steward. Also, we have Amanda, the City Attorney. Item 2, approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Motion by Alder Wolf. I will second that motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Minutes are approved. Item 3 is public input. Does anybody wish to address the Finance and Personnel Committee? Second call for public input. Third and final call for public input. Seeing nobody wishing to provide public input is now closed. Consideration and possible action on the following items. Under finance, there is no report, which will bring us to item 5, personnel. The presentation of grievance number 21-211 filed by the Wisconsin Professional Police Association, WPPA, regarding work week or work schedule and sick leave. So tonight we will have, through this process, we will proceed with the following order. We will start with the grievance statement. Next will be the city response. The grievant may then reply. There will be questions from the finance and personnel members, and then there will be the closing statement from the grievant, and then the closing statement from the city, after which we will likely go into closed session. So if, yes, Mr. O'Flaherty.
Alder Stevens, I spoke with the representative from the police association.
Sean, maybe you should step up so you're heard on the record.
I spoke with the representative from the police association prior to today's meeting, and assuming that everyone has read the grievance and the response, we thought it would be best use of everyone's time if to skip the statements and just answer questions that the committee may have.
Mr. Bacchus, is that acceptable to you?
Yes.
Diane, do you have any issue with that? All right, so we will skip the grievance statement and then the city response. Mr. Bacchus, would you like to start with the reply?
I don't think there's any argument as to what this grievance involves. It's simply our belief that Officer Flatten was mandated to quarantine by the city, and through that mandate, he was forced to use 68 hours of his own sick time when he was not sick. The collective bargaining agreement does not allow for the use of sick time for a healthy quarantine. So our position on this is that if the city wanted him to quarantine, they would be responsible for placing him on some type of administrative leave as opposed to forcing him to use his own benefit time. I don't know what questions you have in regards to this.
At this time. Thank you.
I mean, if you want me to address the responses from the chief, I can. Um, Well, as I said, our collective bargaining agreement does not allow for sick time to be used in healthy quarantines. Officer Flatten was able and willing to come to work. It was the city that required him to remain at home. I'm not here to argue whether or not he should have been quarantined or not. That's not the purpose of this. The argument is that he was forced to use the 68 hours of his sick time through no fault of his own. He was not sick. It was simply because he had had exposure to somebody that had tested positive in his family. At no time was he allowed to, did he take the sick time because he was sick or to care for any family members? Our position also is that even though technically he was not performing his job as a patrol officer, he was following the orders of his chief when he remained at home and could not do things as he normally would want to do on his time off. So, even during the time that he remained at home, he was unable to care for any type of family members because he was ordered to quarantine. So that totally goes against what the section 9.7 of the contract states that sick leave is used for. So it seems that the city is willing to pay him for the hours that the federal or state government is going to reimburse them for or allow them to use, but not for the 68 hours that they're not going to get reimbursed for. So that would be basically our position on this. Yep.
I recognize that the committee members have read both the grievance and the chief's response to the grievance. And the main issue with respect to the city's response to the grievance is that the scheduling, both the scheduling of the work week and the mandating of quarantine is a management right that the city exercised. The city declared an emergency in March of 2020. It then continued that by action of the council on November 10th of 2020. It gave time off for a single bout of quarantine, both in 2020 and in 2021. Officer Flatten used both banks, both in 2020 and in 2020.
Pardon me, let the record show that Jim Olson is now in attendance.
Unfortunately, Officer Flatten was exposed a second time and then did not have the time that had been set aside for paid time off for leave. That is a management right. It protects the citizens. The imposition of the quarantine was necessary in order to protect the citizens of Alaska and the other officers. It is consistent with the management rights set forth in section 2.1 of the contract. And we don't have, while there may be a lot of details, it really comes down to that it's a management right of the city, and that is what we're seeking to protect.
So we had a closed
Motion to go into closed session.
Motion by Wolf, seconded by Olson to go into closed session. Roll call.
Diane Wolf, aye.